welcome to another episode of Lost and Found. I'm Laura, and I'm so glad to have you here with me. So, today we're talking about emotional eating. I've been dreading doing this episode because I am an emotional eater. I'm aware of my vice, I know it, and it's really nerve-wracking to acknowledge that I do eat my emotions, but I do. And I just want to talk to anybody out there who's doing the same or something similar. It happens. You're not abnormal. There are many of us out there. So here's the thing. When I get really stressed, I turn to food. When I get really happy, I turn to food. When I feel things are just not working the way I want them to, I turn to food. When I'm angry, I turn to food. Any intense emotion, it makes me feel that I need food. The way people turn to alcohol, addicts or alcoholics turn to alcohol to make them feel better, is the way I turn to food. So for me, my particular thing is sugar. I can do away with fruits. I'm not really interested in them. I used to have a thing for rice, but not really. Bread was my thing. Oh my gosh. Anybody who knows me knows the attachment I had to bread was incredibly unhealthy. Like, I loved bread until a couple of years ago when I started this journey. But the problem is, I love anything with sugar. So, chocolate, ice cream, cake. Cookies used to be my thing, but because I own a bakery where we bake cookies for sale, I don't think cookies is my thing anymore. But cake, ice cream, chocolate, milkshakes, smoothies, and yogurt as well. So I think I've always just struggled to know how exactly I should balance my emotions when it comes to emotional eating. I think this is something that's not talked about enough. When it comes to drug addicts, there's certain steps they can take. There are rehabilitation centers where you can go and learn how to handle your drug problem or your addiction. If you're an alcoholic, you can go for Alcoholics Anonymous, AA. There's certain things you can do when you know you're doing something too much, or you have an addiction, or you have an unhealthy habit that you can do. But I feel like not enough people are talking about food. So what happens with us emotional eaters is we're just told to stop eating. You're greedy. Eat less. Eat a salad. Stop being a pig. We're told certain things to make us feel bad. And what does that do? What does that trigger? Yeah. So I think the important thing to do is to know what the steps you should take as an emotional eater trying to get healthy or develop healthy habits. What do you need to do to break out of that state of constant eating or eating unhealthy things or overeating, to know exactly what to do? I could come up with a bunch of things. I could tell you portion control. So don't heap your plate, only put a certain portion on your plate and eat that and you're fine. Or I could tell you to jump on a diet, low carb, low fat. There are 1,000 diets out there. You can do keto, you can do Banting, you can eat only vegetables and fruits, you can become a vegan, you can become a vegetarian, whatever it is, just stop eating certain foods and focus on other foods. I could tell you that. Or I could tell you to, fine, eat, but then go and basically live in the gym. Go and exercise, constantly run, constantly be on the move, constantly be physically active, just make sure that you are constantly moving. And these are all very good pieces of advice. What I'm saying, the things I've mentioned and a lot more things out there can actually change your life and make you healthy. You drop the habits, you reduce your appetite, you do certain things to just get you back on track to being healthy. And they're really good methods. I mean, I'm taking some of those methods myself. But it doesn't change the fact that when you're in a bad place, when you're feeling tired, when you're feeling guilty, when you're feeling frustrated, you just want to eat. So one thing I've noticed with me, if I cheat, whatever the reason is, and I feel guilty, as soon as I feel guilty, I want to eat. Like, it's a vicious cycle. So I just want to go back and get more cake, get more ice cream, get more chocolate, whatever it is. And it reaches a point where I'm like, whoa, it's been 3 weeks and all I've done is eat this stuff. And because I get so full, I don't even want to eat the healthy stuff. So I won't eat the healthy stuff. It could be there, but I won't because I feel guilty and I have to keep doing something about that guilt, which is doing the same thing that made me feel guilty in the first place. Just keeps going on and on. So I think the important thing to do is to understand how to deal with your emotional well-being. How do you make sure that when you're feeling sad or upset or angry or even really happy, whatever emotion it is that triggers you, how do you work around that emotion to make sure that you do not emotionally eat? I think that is the trick. So, can I tell you that I've cracked it? Should I tell you how I've cracked it? I haven't cracked it. I'm still an emotional eater. But I think what has helped me is the fact that I have actually acknowledged the fact that I'm an emotional eater. I've acknowledged the fact that I struggle with unhealthy habits. I feel a certain way, let me turn to junk food or whatever. I do understand that that is my vice. So where some people say, oh, let me turn to pornography, or let me turn to alcohol, or let me, whatever it is, for me, this is what it is. And you might be that person. You might be the person who feels emotionally you can't handle and food is your thing. But how is it helping you? It's not. So I guess this is a conversation I'd like us to start on how exactly you can break out of that habit so that you can do the healthy thing, which are the methods I mentioned before and more, of course, out there. Step one, as I mentioned already, is acknowledging the fact that you do have a problem when it comes to emotional eating. It's something that you need to acknowledge and accept. Just like an alcoholic has to accept that they're an alcoholic, it's kind of like the same thing. Please note there's some people who are actual food addicts. You actually have a disorder where you are diagnosed as a food addict. I think that could also be backed with getting professional help. So if you have access to a counselor or can get access to a counselor, I think it's very important that you do or get access to some sort of professional help in whatever capacity to know how to take those steps to deal with your problem. So I am not a counselor, of course, I'm not an expert, but I am living this life. And I feel that it's really important for me to really get into understanding me as a person. And so those are my strengths and my weaknesses. And if one of my weaknesses is emotional eating, what can I do to suppress that addiction, kick it, and get back into being healthy? Another thing is to learn how to deal with your emotions. Easier said than done. And like I said, some people have to seek outside counsel to know how to deal with their emotions. Some people, they put certain habits or practices in place where they can deal with that habit. There's some people who say, oh, you know what, I feel really stressed. Rather than eat, let me go for a walk. Or I'm feeling really tired. Rather than grabbing a piece of cake, let me take a nap. Oh, I'm feeling really sad. Rather than hitting the fridge, let me listen to some cool music or some music that's uplifting. I'm a spiritual person, I'm a Christian, and I truly believe that the ultimate solution to all your icky feelings, feeling down about yourself or down about life, is God. So that would really help. If you can turn to God and sort of like leave all that on Him, unburden yourself, He's literally there to take that burden. He has said it before. And He says it, He keeps saying it, just give it to me. So for me, I think the thing that's helped me the most is that spiritually, I have a relationship with Christ and I'm able to go to Him and say, please just take this thing. But there are times when my relationship with God is also shaky. I have not been serious about it. I'm not praying. I'm not trying to connect with Him. And then I tend to just say, you know what? Whatever. Let me not read my Bible. Let me not pray. Let me not think about Him. Whatever. And that usually has an impact on my emotional health. So what usually happens is when I feel bad, rather than praying about it and taking it to the Lord, I tend to backslide and feel guilty and feel bad, and I'm hitting, all the places where I shouldn't go to satisfy my craving. So I've noticed that if I don't deal with my internal issues, I'm basically just back in that vicious cycle. So I think it's best to first understand yourself, understand who you are, and the fact that you have certain triggers and how to handle them. So it goes back to the how, but rather than just say, oh my gosh, I'm eating too much. I feel so sad. What do I do? When someone says, go on a diet. Come on, we know that. We know. Rather than that, I think it's important for you to figure out what you need to do about yourself internally. It's very deep. And I feel like in my Lost and Found YouTube channel, which you're on right now, this is what I'm trying to do. Rather than be an expert and tell you the different diets and the exercises you can do, I'm more interested in this channel on dealing on how you've been lost, how you've lost your way when it comes to your health and every aspect of your health, emotionally, mentally, physically, and how you can find yourself. This is the gist of what we're doing here on, or what I'm doing here on this channel, by trying to get you to understand who you are, understand the pros and cons of your habits, and how you can be a better you. I will continue talking about this in the weeks, months, and even years to come. How to handle dealing with your emotional health so that it doesn't take a toll on your physical health or mental health. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Like, subscribe, you know what to do. And I would really like to hear feedback. So please comment or send me a message or get in touch with me somehow. Or let's just share in this community that I'm trying to start. Let's share our different opinions, specifically in this video on emotional eating. Thank you.